rule out perfection, think about becoming friends with failure.
It needs to be something you love, because then failure doesn't matter.
Whatever I write, it's gonna have to do.
There's always different avenues of creativity, and that can be a challenge as well.
This is not good yet. I'm not entirely happy with it, but this is getting me one step closer to being better.
And then you need to have that hyper focus to do it well. At the same time, I need to exist within the world.
I long for... Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. We haven't seen each other for some time for a couple of reasons. One of them, I'm probably going to make a video about it at some point in the future. But the other reason is that I had some challenges being creative, and this is exactly the topic that I would like to talk about today with my best friend Ania, whom you might know from one of my previous videos where we talked about working in the creative industry, in the film industry. So Ania is the perfect person to have this conversation with because we are both creative professionals. You've worked in the creative industry since ever?
Since ever, yeah. Yeah, always, yeah.
Film, music, and recently, well, always writing has been a thread running through your life. Yeah. Ania is currently completing a novel. Why is it difficult to be a creative professional?
I think the key issues are definitely the self-discipline. Because if you're a creative professional, my guess would be you do it because it's your passion, you do it for yourself, you do it because you want to do it. I think majority of us, at least at the beginning, are not employed by anyone. So it's up to you to set your own goals and set your own hours and stick to them. And that's really hard to maintain and not lose spirit, because it's difficult to sort of set yourself a certain standard, because no one can set it for you, and work towards it, and that standard will probably shift as well. And so there's that kind of really difficult balance between being kind with yourself so that you can be creative and keep working, and at the same time be a bit self-critical and being able to look at your work from a distance and being able to critique it in order to get better, because the main goal is to improve.
That's something that I've been struggling with as well, and for me that was mainly as a result of trying new things. The biggest challenge of starting a YouTube channel for me was the fact that I had a vision of what I wanted to create, and then I would sit down to create it, and it would be completely different from that vision. It would be so far out that I just could not bear the thought of sharing it with other people, because I simply thought that it's not good enough. It's so difficult to push through that being a shit face so that you can get to being better.
But you can't let that dominate the conversation, I think, because then it becomes a battle with perfectionism. Because you could argue you would never be good enough, because you can always do something better. And if that will stop you from doing anything, then that defeats the whole point. So it's that, I guess it's important to have that voice running in your head, so you can challenge yourself, you can improve. At the same time, rein it in and not let it dominate. Like, it needs to be there, but it needs to be tamed.
And something that helps me a lot is changing my mindset around it. So thinking, this is not good yet, I'm not entirely happy with it, but this is getting me one step closer to being better. You know, like the saying, like, you need to enjoy the journey. It's not about destination, it's about the journey. So I started thinking about that journey and how I can enjoy it and how I can enjoy making mistakes. And I was getting used to the fact that most of my work is going to be based on failure and on mistakes.
Yeah, and enjoyment, like you said, I think you just struck the chord there. That is the most important thing. And if you don't enjoy it, don't do it. And you know, there's so many things in life that we have to do. we need to be doing from day-to-day adulting to often day jobs. And your creativity, your outlet of your creativity should be something, actually needs to be something you enjoy, it needs to be something you love, because then failure doesn't matter.
What do you think about being creative on demand, in a way, when you have a deadline by which you need to deliver your creative work, like, for example, a review?
I struggle with it. And that's why I guess I never wanted to write completely professionally, if that makes sense, especially with reviews, because I could pick and choose. I actually enjoyed the exercise of it, exercising that muscle, because every type of writing is completely different. But I never wanted to write for a publication and say be required to write for reviews a day, because it felt really, I don't know if I had it in me. It felt a bit too mechanical, but also I just don't think I had it in me, and I didn't want to lose heart, I didn't want to lose that enjoyment. And I guess writing a novel is that lovely, it happens on its own terms. It's not commissioned, it's not, I guess even if in further down the line it is commissioned, as a writer, still work on your own terms, in your own time, and that was always important to me.
When I used to work as a bid writer, and I would always work towards a deadline, so I had to write a document or a response, a proposal by a certain time. Very often I would just sit down and be like, I don't know how to approach this. I don't know where to start. And then, a few hours would pass and I would still not be able to write. And then you get into that almost like an anxiety loop, because you get stressed about not being able to produce anything, and it hinders your creativity even more. On the other hand, sometimes I feel positively energized and motivated by a deadline, but I think especially when they are short deadlines, and it's almost like you feel like I just have to do it, like whatever comes. You almost like get into that automatic writing, just like whatever I write, it's gonna have to do.
And I guess that's one of the big challenges, if I can kind of swerve it a little bit, is that I'm pretty sure every creative person I know has so many different outlets of creativity, and that's what is quite hindering, because there's no single person that is just a novel writer. That's first stage, or just is a film director. Usually these people also write, and maybe they do color grading. Those writers, they probably paint, or do scripts as well. There's always different avenues of creativity, and that can be, like in my experience, a challenge as well, because then you need to set your priorities and need to decide, I guess, what to pursue at a time and what to focus on. So it's just that kind of finding your routine and finding that priority, and then if I have time after writing a novel, I can record a podcast, or I can paint if I have time left.
I'm gonna close the door because there's roadworks going on right outside our window, and I literally feel the vibration underneath my feet.
You probably feel the vibrations.
Yeah, you might feel it too. I'll just close the door for the rest of the interview. Being pulled towards different directions is actually probably my top challenge in being a creative professional. I think when you're creative, you just think in so many different ways, and the more you expand your creativity, the more ideas you have on how to express your ideas in different ways. And it's so exciting, and you want to pursue it because it gives you that injection of, wow, I can be now combining my creativity as well. But then often, combined with my trait of being a generalist, that leads me to just spreading myself too thinly. I find it difficult to commit to just one art, and often I feel like I don't do enough on any of those avenues. Are there any other challenges that you are particularly struggling with?
The environment around you. So I think when you're doing something really creative, you almost, well, in my case, definitely, I need that complete isolation. I need to cut myself off from any sort of stimuli and just write. And it's simply not possible completely because you have to eat. You have to sort of, we all have homes that we sort of have to kind of maintain, or the people around us, that relationships that we have to maintain. So we're all in a space and we all know people, right? Well, I would hope we all know people we care about. And that balancing act of there's me and my world that's so important to me. And then you need to have that hyper focus to do it well. At the same time, I need to exist within the world, and that often is such a challenge.
The distractions. Yeah, I long for the sense of deep focus that I feel like I used to be able to achieve a lot more often than I do now. And so I think subconsciously I am trying to remove the distractions that you were talking about and just streamline, focus on one thing, but it's really challenging. Having these type of conversations with you has really helped me to feel like, okay, I'm not on my own with these challenges. Other people experience it too. So I hope that you guys will have that similar sense of you're not alone. And in the part 2 of the series, we are going to be talking about our solutions to being productive as a creative professional. In the meantime though, leave your comments and let's start a conversation about these challenges and why it's difficult to be a creative professional. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thanks you guys for joining us today, and I will catch up with you in the next one. Bye. Bye. Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm always a little bit nervous when I do it with people. Okay. But
there's only one way to find out.
There's only one way to find out.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm already very composed. I also have the squeaky chair. So I
think that's just gonna add a bit of charm.
Yeah, just like.
Do you think there's enough light? There's enough light, right? There's enough.
Plus, you can always color things.